up, guys? This is Hector here with What the Heck kind of question is that? And today's question is going to be, can my loved ones visit me from beyond the grave? Can my loved ones visit me from beyond the grave? I meet a lot of people that say that they would love to have interactions with some of their ancestors or their relatives that have passed away. And so therefore, we wanted to be able to answer the question, is this even a cool thing to be able to practice or to do? Let's take a look and see what the scriptures say about this whole thing. Now, first things first, scriptures give us, in the book of Leviticus, it gives us the command that we should not regard mediums or familiar spirits. Now that Hebrew word for regard means don't turn towards or look to for any form of information. A medium. We have a story within the scriptures about a king that consulted a medium, and this is a thing that God explicitly told the people not to practice. People are not to practice consulting any kind of individual that claims that they can get in contact with the spirit realm. Okay? Now, the other thing is this. When people do contact a medium, what they're often contacting is something called a familiar spirit. Now, a familiar spirit is definitely a spirit, and this is considering if the medium is actually a real spiritist of sorts, all right? The familiar spirit is oftentimes not a relative or an ancestor or even a good spirit. The familiar spirit is often a demonic spirit or an evil spirit that has been generally observing the person that is consulting the medium, or they're probably a spirit being that is connected with the medium themselves. Now, this familiar spirit is oftentimes, as we already mentioned, a demonic spirit who has no other intention but to destroy the person who's seeking the medium, destroy their faith, or destroy themselves as a person. Okay, so we want to definitely make sure that we do not go anywhere near mediums or familiar spirits. People often get in contact with these things utilizing stuff like Ouija boards and things like that, and it is definitely not cool. It's opening up a gate that you do not want to walk through. Now, the scriptures also teach in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 9 through 14. It gives us a comprehensive list of all the kinds of individuals that we should not interact with. And the list is pretty extensive. In fact, if I can turn to my trusty scriptures here, it says that when you come into the land that your Lord your God has given you, he's speaking to the children of Israel. He says you should not follow the abominations of those nations. Those are the kinds of people that make their children pass through the fire, or they sacrifice their children. Now, here's the thing. It says, you should not have found among you anyone who is a witch or practices witchcraft. Now, witchcraft or witches are people that seek to determine the will of their spirits or their demons or their gods utilizing magical incantations or things like that. It also says you should not practice soothsaying. Now, soothsaying is an attempt to try to control the future through power given by spirits from beyond or another dimension. Okay? It also says do not interact with anyone who interprets omens. This is a person that is actually telling you the future by reading signs and omens and things like that. I think this is more closer towards horoscopes. You hear people say, well, I'm a Virgo, or I'm a Leo, or I'm a Cancer. And I'm saying that focusing on horoscopes is actually a cancer to your faith. You definitely don't want to do it. It's not real. If anything, the signs in the heavens are signs to tell you about God or to direct you to God or anything like that, right? But I still wouldn't refer to those things in the heavens and the stars in the heaven. I would refer to the scriptures, all right? Now, the scriptures also teach that you should not consult anyone that is a sorcerer. A sorcerer is someone that uses magical incantations or potions and things like that to alter the mental state of an individual, all right? This is anything that can induce magical effects on another individual. This is closest to someone that is similar to like a drug dealer giving you an acid tab, all right? They have people like that back in those days. Those people were considered sorcerers, and those drugs were definitely known to induce hallucinations and jack up people's minds permanently, all right? Now, we also have someone that conjures spells in this list, or a medium. Medium is up there, right? And a conjurer of spells or a medium is someone that, a conjurer of spells is somebody that wants to utilize some kind of a spell to harm an individual or to bind them in some way, okay? A medium is someone that conjures spirits from the spirit realm. All right. A spiritist is someone that has interaction with the spirit realms, not positive spirits, of course. None of these spirits that these people are dealing with are positive spirits. And then, of course, you have someone that calls up the dead, or this is necromancy. And calling up the dead is not actually calling up any actual spirit of the dead. It's actually calling up a demon spirit that is impersonating someone that claims to be in your family or claims to be your relative. It is just their way of getting you to not focus on God, break his commandments, and focus on anything other than God. That has always been Satan's objective from the jump. Now, here's the thing. These messages from the dead, they would never even lead you to God. And they're really not from the dead anyway. These messages are generally from demonic spirits, and they never lead you to God. Now, here is the thing. There is a story that Jesus gives about a rich man that went to hell. And that individual is having a conversation with a saint that is in the paradise section of that whole spirit realm. And the conversation that they had essentially taught us that this man wanted to send someone from the dead to go and visit his brothers to try to warn them not to wind up in the place of torment that he was in. And the saint that was there informed that man that if anyone from the dead goes and tries to warn your brothers not to come there, they won't even believe whatever it is that those individuals are saying. Okay? In other words, Jesus is teaching that even if spirit beings approach an individual and try to teach them about going to God, if it is not led by God, it's not going to lead to God. Quite frankly, okay? An individual cannot come from the dead and lead someone on earth towards God. That's just a not possibility. A non-possibility? I don't even know if I could say what that word is, but it ain't happening is essentially what we're trying to teach. Now, last but not least, scriptures teach that if an individual is connected to God, right? If the individual is connected to God, then saints that die are absent from the body and present with the Lord. You got me, right? Absent from the body equals present with the Lord. This is a saint or a believer in Christ. Now, here's the thing that we definitely want to highlight, right? When an individual dies, death is all about separation, okay? So when an individual dies, their body separates from their spirit. Okay, the body goes down to the grave and the spirit goes wherever it goes, and the soul definitely goes wherever it goes. And I think the spirit and the soul, well, the spirit in Ecclesiastes says it goes back to God, whereas the soul will be in God's presence with the spirit, or in hell, right? Disconnected from God for all of eternity, because God is not going to force anybody into his presence that never wanted to be in his presence on earth to begin with. Okay, so whenever an individual dies, there is a separation from the body, and that spirit will go wherever that person or that soul will go, wherever that individual always wanted to go. All right. This is why Jesus said that don't fear him that can destroy your body, but fear him that has the power to take both body and soul and destroy them in the lake of fire. All right. So can your loved ones visit you from beyond the grave? I don't think so. Now, here is the thing. There is a story. And hopefully we're going to get to it in another video. Actually, I did cover it in one of my other videos on election. But there is a story about a king that we mentioned earlier that did go and seek a medium, and something did pop up and interact with him. Now, a lot of people are, they have different viewpoints as to who that king was actually interacting with. Now, as we read through the story, we learn that when that king went to the witch and spoke to that witch about, can the witch conjure up the spirit of this prophet? Something came up, and I say something. Some people say, oh, what came up was actually the prophet. I'm not necessarily sure if what came up was the prophet. It says that the witch said that it was a prophet, and the witch said that she saw him, and the witch started to tell the king Saul what she saw and what she was hearing. Okay, but and then the king dropped down to the floor to hear whatever it was that spirit was muttering. But I struggle to believe that God would allow the spirit of a prophet to come back to earth to speak to a king contrary to his command of not seeking the instruction of a medium or a spirit or anything like that. But of course, you have any comments or anything like that, please throw it down in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you check that story. It's in the book of Samuel. It's in the later chapters of Samuel, but I would love for you to search for it. I want to say like Samuel 28, but I could be wrong. Double check me, right? Check that story out. See what you think. See if the spirit that showed up was actually the prophet Samuel, or if it was a demon impersonating Samuel. And throw it down in the comment. Let us know what you think. All right, yo. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Peace.